Tonight, we are very happy to have Mr. Qi Ming, Culture and Talent Director of McGraw-Hill Education Asia. He has worked in various multinational companies and industrial sectors in the past 20 years across regions, including the Caribbean, UK, China, and Southeast Asia. Qi Ming will be looking into the challenges in attracting talents for small and medium-sized enterprises in the ever-competitive environment today. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Qi Ming.
98% of the total companies in China are SME, right? And those 98% of companies contribute 60% of GDP in the whole China. And also we can see 75% of the working population in China work in SMEs. Most of the cities have their own preferential policies to encourage different industrial sectors, right, to set up their business in that area. Beijing, most of the culture, advertisement, and fintech companies are in the city or in this area, like Jingdong, right, and also Baidu, those fintech companies. And in this area, most of pharmaceutical companies, right, and also financial services, because Shanghai is the financing center of China. And this area, again, like Huawei, Tencent, and quite a lot of IT startup companies also set up the business in this area. So this also shows those governments, they worked out quite many policies to attract each or different industries. And the talent will move following these preferential policies. Okay, so if, for instance, I have the experience of working in some education company, right? So I like to move to most of the companies in Beijing, right? Because it's the capital city and also the center we call culture and also education, right? Because there's so many universities in Beijing. These slides show if we are going to set up our business in China, how many types of legal entities we can choose. The first one is we call WFI. WFI means wholly foreign-owned company. Okay, so this WFI can have quite a lot of advantages, but at the same time they have its own weakness. Because, for instance, WFI, you have more flexibility and more control, right, on the local business, and you can sell your products, your services directly, not like rep office. RO means rep office. Rep office, you cannot do the business in China directly, so only marketing. You can only do marketing. And also, there's a limitation of hiring employees in rep office. So normally, you cannot hire more than 100 employees in rep office. And also, each of these types of entity has its own pros and cons. So we can decide based on what kind of strategy you want to use to set up your business in China, right? And also JV, it's true that currently there's still a lot of restrictions to set up joint venture companies because the limitation of the industry sector, and also local counterpart, they need to control or have the majority of shares normally you cannot have more than 49% of shares against your local counterpart. So that's the limitation of joint venture. Okay. The reason why I show these slides is not an advertisement, right? It's not promoting any local labor agent. It's just because if we choose to set up rep office in China, we have to hire local employees through FESCO. FESCO means Foreign Enterprises Service Corporation. So it's one of local labor agents, what do we call? There are also some other labor agents. So in China, if we have rep office, means we have to hire the employees via the labor agent FESCO. Right? So if we have WFI in China, we can hire employees directly. Okay, so that's the difference. That's why we often say WFI, we have more flexibility and more control on the business operation. And those labor agents, they are not only providing HR services, but also providing some legal services, okay, and also accounting services. Once we set up the business, we will start hiring employees. So in China, we call employment contract law. So this law, frankly, is quite in favor of employees. So it's protecting employees a lot from my point of view, right? This law was enacted, enforced since 2008. So we call this new employment contract law. Okay, so I just like to share a couple of key points that when we hire local employees, or even we expect some current employees to China from outside of China, what we need to note. Hiring local employees, okay, again, the restriction of using labor agent, right, when we set up rep office. But if we set up WFI, there's no restriction, okay? But I still think most of the time, because we are small companies, we're medium-sized companies, most of the time we have limited resources to do those HR operation works by ourselves. So those labor agents, actually, they can help us to do some operational, routine, administrative work. Okay, so expect, again, first, we have to apply for work permit and also residential permit for expat, or what we call foreigners, right? So this application normally lasts around 3 months, okay, from the start of application to the day that expats authorized to work and obtaining those work permit and the residential permit. This is also quite complicated process. Another thing is that the employees must be older than 16 years old, right? Otherwise, it will be child labor and very, a lot of penalty will be will be paid to the government if we are found to hire child labor. Yeah, that's the reason. Mm-hmm. Okay, and next one is employment contract. Here, employment contract in China, the new employment contract law requires employer only can renew the fixed term employment contract twice. But in different cities, the interpretations are also different. For instance, why I say that, in Beijing, it's very strict. Beijing local government, and also there are quite many legal cases, proves that the local government only allow employer or company to renew once. Meaning, if I have first time I have 3-year fixed term employment contract. After 3 years, I can only renew once, right? And the company, if the company says, okay, I'm not going to renew, it's okay. But the second term for the 3 years contract, we have to convert it to permanent. But in Shanghai, it's quite generous. In Shanghai, the local government allows employer have second chance to decide renew or not. Okay, so that's the difference. So when we choose different cities, different locations, we also need to be aware of this difference. It's not only, okay, meaning that the law, the national law, okay, says we can renew twice. It does not mean in every city we can do the same. Okay. And also the probation period. In employment contract law, it requires employer only can have 6 months maximum probation period. You cannot extend probation period for one employee and in one company. So it's purely based on the service, I mean the contract terms, right? Sorry, the contract terms. And why I mention service agreement here is because service agreement is a bit different from employment contract. Service means that I can provide service based on project, right? So the employer don't need to pay some statutory benefits. Okay, so it's quite flexible, but we also need to control the percentage of employees who are on services agreement. So that's the difference. Those are preliminary and basic statutory benefits. We say 5 statutory insurances. Some people may say, okay, I heard of 3, right? 3 statutory benefits. But 3 means employee only needs to pay 3 of them. Employer, we have to pay 5 statutory benefits, which are pension, Medicare, work-related insurance, injury insurance, maternity, and another one is unemployment. So those 5 statutory insurance. And next one is one provident housing fund. Also, in different cities or provinces, the percentage of the contribution are also different. So like in Beijing, in Shanghai, the percentage are quite high. But in other less developed areas, the government has some subsidiaries, so the percentages are a bit lower. And this slide shows when we talk about voluntary termination, means resignation, what we need to remind ourselves, to bear in mind, is notice period. Normally, notice period is 1 month, right? 30 days. And also, that's based on my own experience. We need to ask employees to sign their resignation letter, to just in case there's some dispute in the future, that employers can be said that employees can say, I'm forced to resign, right? So if they sign off the resignation letter, means they are voluntarily resign, right? Okay, it's the difference, but that's my own experience. Okay. And involuntary means quite a lot of scenarios, right? So, but the employment contract law has very strict terms, restricting few circumstances of reduction in force. Only 5 kind of circumstances that's allowed, but we have to follow the procedures step by step and file all the documents. So that will be also very strict procedure. It's for us, it's obvious like something impossible, but in case we have to do it, we just need to do, right? But that's why I say we need to be very compliant and also using soft approach when we have to face this situation, right? So it's negotiable. Normally, we based on negotiation to terminate the employment contract. This part, we're going to start talking talent attraction. Okay, this is the reality. 90% of companies, HR, say we have difficulty to attract qualified candidates. We have this issue for many years, even though there are 1.4 billion population in China. But this issue, this challenge has been there for more than 20 years. Okay, which is true. But the reason one-child policy kept the talent supply. Even right now, the government changed this policy, but it won't help us to solve the problem tomorrow. We have to wait for another decade at least. Okay, yeah. And also lack of English proficiency and practical business skills. Meaning, for a lot of multinational companies, when we hire employees in China, most of them we can see the English exam, right? They got a very high and good scores, right? Very good result, but they cannot talk at all. So that's the gap of education drawbacks, and also also the employer's expectation. But it becomes better, right? Because every year there are around 1 million students take TOEFL exams, meaning they are willing to study abroad. But 1 million students, very small portion of the graduate age or the students, fresh graduates, or even the workforce. At the same time, another reality is local candidates in China has very strong preference to select the company, right? 62% of candidates prefer domestic company. BAT, what do we call Baidu, right? Alibaba, Tencent, Huawei. They pay quite good salaries, and the bonus are also very flexible. And the other 24% prefer to work in the government, state-owned companies. Only 14% prefer multinational companies. This is the result, just came out this year. Okay. my own experience is a bit different because in 2006, 2007, and 2008, I went to a university to do campus recruitment. I found at that time multinational companies were very popular, welcome by Chinese students. Okay, because in the conference room, I can see, well, there are more than 200 students participated my campus talk. But last year, I went to the same university in Wuhan. Only 50 students joined my campus talk. So you can see the significant drop in the attendance. So most of the people, I asked the advisor in Student Career Center. The teacher told me 1/3 of students, they choose to take the exam for postgraduate programs. So meaning they will further study, right? And another 1/3, they want to go study abroad. The remaining 1/3, they are looking for the jobs, okay, after finish their bachelor degree. But every company is fighting for those 1/3 of fresh graduates. When I see the top #1 attraction driver for Singapore is work-life balance. Okay, meaning Singaporeans work very hard, so want to have a break. And second is compensation. And next one also quite interests me is location, sorry. So means, well, when Singapore people, they consider this offer, they will think the location of the company or the offices. In China, it's so different. The first one is compensation, and second one is stability, meaning in last decades, there are lots of changes took place, right? Restructuring, close of the plants, so people really want stable job, okay, in the company. And you see, this one even doesn't appear in the top 5, but in China, this is the third one, development opportunity. Development opportunity means how I can develop my skill sets, both professional, maybe also personal, okay, development opportunity in this company. Okay, so when we are going to offer the candidate, we can think about all those pooling factors, right? How we can pull out the candidates from other companies. And once we find those very interesting drivers, facts, okay, let's think about where we are going to find our candidates, okay? Again, I still put fresh graduates as the #1 choice for myself. That's my own preference, because I still think fresh graduates, once they are developed, they have very high level of loyalty, the high level of engagement. Right? So that's my own preference. In April, we just need to think about headcount plan. Okay, and then campus visit. This campus visit does not mean campus talk. This means we need to go to the university, talk to the teachers, talk to the advisors in career center. We need to book the conference room, because every company will be doing campus talk in September, October, and November. So it's the peak season for campus recruitment. So we need to go there and also set up personal relationship with our partners in the university. And campus talk, normally we do it in September and October. Another thing just like to explain here is the first week, normally in October will be Golden Week, right? In China, 7 days. So we have to, when we arrange the campus talk, we have to think about this. Okay. Otherwise, there will be a lot of conflicts, and even there's no one is going to hear you. Okay. And this one, offer stage, in December. I also like to add one point between offer stage and on board, because normally what we do is we arrange some students who we offered to come to our office and do the intern program for 1 month. This opportunity gives students a chance. I mean, these arrangements give them a chance to feel how the company is. And also, you can see who will or who might be counter offer. Normally, it will be in January after the exams or before Chinese New Year. Okay, that's the winter vacation in China. So that's the one thing I'd like to add in on this slide. Okay. And then will be onboarding process. We still think that we assign some mentors to those new hires, to students for at least 2 or 3 months, okay? And let them to really focus on, this work, and also hear the feedback from their mentor will be very helpful, because the mentor, most of the time we understand mentors are informal. They can provide some feedbacks, okay, after work, and even they can tell and explain to those new hires what they think about, how they perceive the companies. Next will be experienced candidates. So how we can attract more experienced candidates. Here, LinkedIn, only using LinkedIn is not very effective in China. Okay, so we have to use other job portals in China. They're like 51job.com, okay, and jobpin.com. Right now, there's another one, the third one called liepin.com. Okay, so, and also like China HR and some special, for special talents like oil HR, electrical HR, all those you can find. But the most famous and popular job portals in China, just like those 3 I just mentioned. So combining all of those job portals together with LinkedIn, we can enlarge our talent pool. Okay. And another one is internal referral, because my own experience is internal referral is very helpful for the company, especially for HR, to recruit the employees, right? To recruit the employees who have the similar characteristics to those of current employees, right? And also, if current employees, they're willing to refer the company to their friends, meaning they have very high level of recognition to the companies. So normally, when you receive the resumes from one of your colleagues, we really need to reward and recognize them. Okay. And another one is social network. Social network is how, when we set up our business, when we do our business, we always have some personal relationships or local network. So we can utilize those relationships and network to help us find the talent. Okay. And even sometimes like the Singapore Business Chamber in China, they also can help us to connect with local people. The last one is Headhunter. Why I mentioned this Headhunter based in China, because I understand some of the companies out of China, okay, or if they don't have resources of headhunters in China, they may ask some headhunters out of China to find the candidates there. But normally, or generally, it's not very effective. Okay, so we'd better use local headhunters. Interviewing, we need to think about how we can use structured interview, STAR. Okay, situational, tasks, action, and results. Asking open questions, right? And give them scenario as project to work on, right? And also quick round in China. From the beginning of interview to the last stage of offering, normally it takes no more than 2 weeks. So it's so fast. And some companies, they can decide to offer this person within 1 week. So it's different from multinational companies. Most of the time, it takes us around 4 weeks, 5 weeks, to close this hiring. So we really need to expedite this process in China. And also, another one is finding discrepancies versus assessing competencies, because I noticed some of the recruiter or interviewers, they focus on finding the discrepancies on resume rather than finding if this candidate is really matching the position or not. Okay, so it's not Tom and Jerry, right? We have to think or assess if this candidate can really work or match the company. The last one is offering. Okay, offer letter is semi-legal binding, so we have to sign employment contract in Chinese. Okay, it's because the court doesn't accept English or bilingual even sometimes, so it has to be Chinese. Okay, and also compensation and the development opportunity attracts talents a lot. That's the table, right? We and the results we just shared. Okay, so next part will be how we can retain our talent. This one shows low intent to stay. Intent to stay means employee, if they are going to apply for a new job out of the company within 2 years. Okay. Or they have already taken tangible steps to send the emails to headhunters, posted their resumes on job portals. So we can see high intent to stay in China is much lower than international average. But at the same time, low intent to stay in this number in China, quite similar to the international average. Again, at the same time, we can see high percentage of active job search. In 2018, more than 35% of employees, they actively sent their resumes to headhunters or to post them on job boards. So if they spend a lot of time to search the job, they won't have enough time to work on their tasks, right? Another interesting figures, right? Okay, in China, again, it's different from Asia and Singapore, right? Again, compensation is the most important, but it's hygiene factor, but not the most important attractor. And again, development opportunity. So these are pushing factor. Pushing factors push our employees out of this company. Okay. And again, work-life balance or manager quality in China, employees don't list them as top 5. they may be important, but not as important as these 5 drivers. So that's why in past couple of months, right, there are discussion about working hours. We say 996 in China, right? So you see, that discussion stopped very fast because not many people care about how long they work. So when we know about those drivers, we need to think about how we can retain our employees. First one, reward. Okay. Travel is also attractive here, is also very interesting because this travel means both domestic travel and international travel. Okay. My wife used to work in small company. Her company offered travels twice every year. Okay. International and domestic. Okay. So that's why in her company, the attrition rate was pretty low in last 5 years. And also development plan, we can help our employees see their future, their career path in the company. And job security, we noticed from that result, right? Job security is the second important driver. And stretching roles and the responsibilities. And people want to see the future, and people want to work with the people similar to them, right? But this is another interesting discussion, right? When we say people like to work with the people similar to them, but how we can improve our diversity. That's very interesting discussion, but I just like to bring this discussion later. Internal equity and consistency, meaning in China is the kind of a culture of collectivism, right? And also, internal equity is important because most of Chinese people, they are comfortable to talk about their salaries in public. So it's quite different, right? It's okay for them. I can tell you how much my salary is. It's okay. So I just want to compare. If we are working in the same position, right, in the same role, just want to check if our salaries are different or not. If different, why? Why? It's purely collectivism culture in the country. So we also it's not individualism culture, right? So I found this very interesting, especially among blue-collar workers. That's the case study I just like to share with everybody here. Is in the second year of transformation in the company M, right? Employee turnover was 48.7%. This is really, really high turnover rate. Okay, right. What was done quickly to fill 90% replacement and help the business maintain the growth? I did it with line business leaders. We have to analyze the root cause of such high attrition rate. Was it because of the pay? Was it because of the transformation? For sure, because of transformation, because majority of resigned colleagues, they don't think the transformation strategy or the new directions, business directions in company were right. But we have to keep our business grow. We have to maintain our business at least. So what we did second is that, we just after we find the root cause, and then we discussed where we can find the potential candidates, right? So meaning the targeted group of the candidates. Do we really want to bring, still recruit candidates within the industry, or do we need to recruit candidates out of this industry, right? Because hiring managers, they really preferred candidates within the industry. So in the first couple of cases, HR had to showcase the success of hiring candidates out of the industry, right? So, and also we need to spend lots of time to say, even the candidates within the industry, the whole industry is transforming. All candidates within the industry, they don't recognize the business direction transformation were correct. So how can we convince them, if they join us, they will be succeeded? So that's quite different, right? So different perception, and we did spend a lot of time to convince them we need to enrich our talent pool. Okay, so after that, and after a couple of successful cases of hiring external candidates, okay, hiring managers, they start thinking, okay, and they're willing to interview more and more candidates out of the industry. Okay, and at the same time, we also used a lot of channels to post our job advertisement, vacancies. We use WeChat and personal network. And also another thing is we use exclusive searching firm. We don't want to use a lot of searching firm. The reason is, searching firms, those headhunters may approach the same candidates. If the many headhunters approach one or same candidates, that candidates may be very skeptical about what happened to this company, right? Just because this kind of feeling, they may not be interested in this company at all. So we just use an exclusive searching firm to help us quickly find the candidates. So we just went to that searching firm and we trained the recruiters, right? We trained the recruiters. We explained what kind of products our companies are producing, what kind of services our company delivers to the customer, what kind of customers currently our customers are. So just did a couple of training to recruiter because they don't know our company. We have to physically go there. Sometimes phone calls efficient, not effective at all. So those trainings were really productive. So they quickly help us to target the candidates. And those candidates really good. So meaning the targets are very accurate. Okay, so that's one thing. And also what we did, we post our hot job panel. Okay, we sent the emails to all employees. And for those who recommend their friends and also their networks, we just reward them like $2,000 or $3,000 dollars. I mean, Chinese yuan, right? Okay, for one successful cases. We used so many channels and the tools to recruit. And also, another thing is, again, we have to retain current employees. So we identified key positions and key employees and promoted them, give them salary increase, right? So hukou is very important to young people moving to Beijing or moving to new cities, right? It can help them, if they have children, it help them, to bring their children to public schools, and they have their local benefit systems, and they can enjoy local benefits like going to local hospitals, and quite a lot of, and they can buy apartments, they can buy cars in China if they have this hukou. So we just applied company account and help them to apply for Beijing hukou. So this is very critical for the new employees who just returned to China from overseas. And also, when we targeted the group of the candidates, we found our products need to recruit. Our company needs to recruit the candidate with very high proficiency of English language. Where we can find them? Students, Chinese students study abroad and return to China, right? So we just find those students and using campus recruitment, this approach. Okay, so we just find quite a few students, okay, and bring them on board quickly. So in that year, we filled 90% of the replacement, and even right now, half of them are still in the company. Okay, so we can share this, case with everybody, how we can be creative and be diligent to enlarge our talent pool and also enrich our talent pool. Okay, so before we close today's session, right, I also like to share this competent talent module. Okay, we have Professor David Urich. He created this module. The reason of sharing this is because we need to develop our talent internally within our company, rather than paying for a lot of market premium to buy the talent from other companies. So we have to develop, but how can we develop our talent? Competency. Competency means the right person, right job, right position, and right time as well. Okay. So once we find the right candidates with competency, we need to think about and observe, assess their contribution. It means consecutive years, at least a 3 years contribution. Okay. And the last one is commitment. Okay. Talent has to have high level of commitment of working in the company. Otherwise, they're not the talent for this company. They may be the talent for other companies. Okay, so these 3 C modules can help us develop and retain our employees in the company. Okay, so that's the whole story of today. Okay, thank you, everybody. So if you want to contact me, please send email to me. Thank you.